I want to give you a snapshot of what our job market looks like today in Canada, and arguing that it's become incredibly precarious. I would argue that the economic crisis didn't change anything. It accelerated a transition towards an economy that's dominated by precarious work. This is a month-by-month snapshot of jobs, total jobs in Canada. In October of 2008, there was just over 17 million jobs in Canada. Over the next few months, we saw almost 500,000 jobs in the country wiped out. And then earlier this year, in January, we in fact saw those numbers slip back up to the level they were before the crisis. But I want to show you the comparison, looking a little bit deeper at the two, those 2 points in time, what our economy looks like in Canada there. Before the recession, 18% of people in Canada were part-time workers. Now that we've reclaimed all the jobs, that number's gone up, which means that really the quality of jobs hasn't followed those trends. This is what's happened to our economy over the last 30 years in terms of part-time work. In 1976, 12% of Canadians had part-time jobs. And over that time, now we're seeing almost 1 in every 5 Canadians has a part-time job. Now, just on part-time work, because it's a key aspect when we talk about precarious work, one of the many, I guess. There's 2 ways to look at part-time work. On the one hand, there's nothing wrong with part-time work, really. But the other side of the coin that they usually don't talk about is whether people actually want to work part-time. This chart shows in 1997, people who were asked the question whether they were working part-time because they like it or because they actually want a full-time job. 1 in 10 people said that in 1997. Last year, that went to 1 in 5. So 1 out of every 5 person is being forced to work part-time. That's not good. These are some things that we're facing in Canada. One of them is the instability of work hours. People not being able to determine week to week what hours they work, when they work, how many they work. This trend towards third-party employers is becoming, and has become, a huge problem through temp agencies. Increasingly, we're seeing workers with no access to benefits, no access to pensions, even fighting to reclaim money from employers who are just trying to take advantage of people and just don't want to pay them. Increasingly, too, we're seeing people taking on self-employment. So they're becoming their own individual businesses and thinking that that's a good thing. And also, over time, we're seeing a lack of access to more permanent jobs. Since 1997, the number of Canadians who say they're working in temporary jobs has actually increased. This summer, in July, we saw the largest number, single-month number of temporary workers in Canada ever. We're talking about what's happening to workers today, but we also look at what the future of work is going to look like. And one of the groups that's most vulnerable to these changes that we're seeing and we're fighting against are young people. Since the crisis, there's been 161,000 young people out of a job, just from that crisis. That accounted for 1 in every 3 jobs lost during the crisis. Our unemployment rate for young people is almost 15% today. That's double the national average. When you include the workers who just stopped looking for work and just, can't find the work, that's actually 20%. That's one of the highest youth unemployment rates in the world. It's a comment on how poor the debate is in Canada about job quality and why we fight every day, every week, to try to change that debate and start talking about what's more important.